Today, you guys run the show. I'm gonna respond, react, and answer a lot of your questions and comments, both critical, funny, and everything in between. First comment is from Daddy Elfman, who says, you. I am building a new tower gaming PC and will never, ever use any Microsoft's product again. Linux is the best choice and the one I will be using. Go pound sand, Microsoft. Yeah, this was in response to our video with Microsoft locking out people, unrightfully so, and keeping developers out of pushing updates to their own apps. Pretty crazy stuff. Microsoft has not had a good year, and I'm waiting for the day that they realize maybe people want products that prioritize what they want and not what some executive in Microsoft's towers want. This comment is from Combat King Zero on our UK scanning video. This comment has been filtered by the UK government. Just a fun, lighthearted comment there. And then we also had Mac Ventura, who said, is this Techlore dude a sorcerer? So I'm gonna put it out there formally on the record. No, I'm not a sorcerer. On the topic of interviews, I do want to shout out Late to the Party, who left a really nice comment on our Simple X interview. He said, Henry, I just want to say you allowing your guests to speak virtually unimpeded, even when you have questions, is top-notch, bravo. So when I first started interviewing people, I feel like our interviews are really bad, and still when I listen to them, I'm like, they're not as good as they could be. But I took a lot of inspiration from The Proof. It's one of my favorite podcasts if you've ever wanted to check something out. It's been a big inspiration, and it's helped shape how I do my Techlore Talks interviews. Noldster watched our Microsoft Copilot surveillance report and said, first-time listener, you're awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. Surveillance support's awesome. So if you want to keep up with our digital rights stuff, just stay subscribed on YouTube or follow the audio version. It's a good way to keep up with things. Next comment comes from Juan KD5NZ, who said, I like Outdoor Henry. The sun makes your beautiful eyes shine. Does my light not make my beautiful eyes shine in this lighting? Come on. But no, that was actually a really fun video to record. I was doing a practice backpacking trip when I recorded that video because I had this backpacking trip I was gonna go on. So in anticipation for that, I realized I had this kind of concept for like what privacy means to me now in 2025, 2026. And so I set up a tripod and I recorded the video. And a lot of you liked that video and you all expressed you liked Outdoor Henry. So yeah, I need to get outside more. That's going to happen, I promise. We're just juggling a lot back here. Okay, this person left a comment on our Debloat Brave tutorial. This is from Rave Agent, who said, I do not suffer with motion sickness, but this video gave me it. Now, I'm sure Tori will put on screen here some of the perhaps abrupt decisions I made. We started using a new tool for our screen recording videos that I think has overall really evolved the overall production and the quality and even the clarity of these screen recording style videos so that they're a little bit just less boring, but this makes it a lot more engaging. It zooms in when I actually want to show you something in particular. When I started using it for this video, I was still new to that tool. And so I saw all of your guys' comments. I know it's annoying. Watching back myself, those videos, they are also annoying to me. So I appreciate you all sharing that feedback because now I like to think that it's so seamless that you wouldn't really know it's happening anymore. So that is where we're now at. So I hope that it's better. All right, so I have 3 comments on the screen here from Miriam, Slaffy, Chris Degger, and Chickum HB. This comment I see all the time, actually, depending on what kind of coverage I'm doing, which is, are you still using Windows? You're still using Mac OS? You're still using this? And it's like, guys, I have everything back here. If you think I'm messing around with you, this is my bin of devices. I have this little punked phone. I've done a review of it. I actually still pull it out here and there when I want to have little offline days. I still have an old Pixel 6 that I use for various minor use cases, but it's still in active use here and there. I have a Fairphone 4 and it's a really nice device. I really like this one and I still use it for some custom ROM testing back here. We're not shy about the fact that we use Mac OS for production. In fact, the tools that we have access to record these really nice videos are only possible really on Mac OS. So we have the Mac Mini behind me. Mac OS is fantastic for production. I don't think many people can deny that. And we're always kind of exploring if we can do Linux, and I've tried Linux workflows for production in the past, and it didn't go too well. I have this device that I still need to review. It is called the Side Phone. We have the Shift Phone here that is still in its box. And what's being recorded right in front of me is an iPhone. There's a Cubes laptop that's over there. There's a MacBook Air that's over there. Like, there's a desktop that runs Windows in the other room that I've also featured in a video. I use every operating system back here. We make coverage for every operating system. I think digital rights applies to every operating system. And so I hope that clears up why there's so much uncertainty over like, oh, what does Henry use day to day? All right, this is a fun comment actually. So it's from Not Real Dark Shine, and this is from the Cake post that we put. So we hit 300,000 subscribers recently, which is crazy. So thank you all for making that possible. And the cool thing about this is that we were all together on a work retreat. I say all, meaning Tori, who's editing this video, and myself. We were recording a really big project. And so we had this delicious cake. It was really good. And I think Tori can confirm if she liked the cake or not. So it was a fun little experience for us, and we got to share it online as well. So that's the cake. It was a homemade cake from my partner. It was very nice. Okay, this is a question that I'm happy to see, and it comes from Charles Foster Oftenson, as well as Suicide 3275, and it's regarding a recent change you guys might have seen in my videos: headphones. So I've been wearing these Sennheiser Momentum 4s for a while now, but they've actually begun to rip on the top. This frustrates me because I like these headphones, but this bothers me a lot, actually. I've been kind of tucking it in with a flathead screwdriver. Inevitably, it pops out again. And I think like Sennheiser should have a little bit of shame that this is a widespread problem. There's videos of people trying to repair this on YouTube. There's people who try to, quote, fix this problem by just removing the whole thing and they think it looks better. I think that's wrong. So I was looking for new headphones, and I didn't actually know that Fairphone shipped their FairBuds XL to the US directly. And so I figured this is half the cost of this pair of headphones. And I think they're about 80% as good, which I think makes these a really good value, and every part can be repaired. So next time that the top starts to wear out after using them consistently for 3 years, I can just swap out the component and I don't need to buy new headphones. I'm quite impressed with them so far. If you guys want to see a full review, let me know. I guess it can kind of fall in the Techlore umbrella as being like right to repair, maybe. Let me know what you think. My God, I still have like so much dog fur from that bin I picked up. Now, a lot of you asked really good questions that I wanted to directly respond to. These come up a lot in the comments, and I felt like these were representative of questions we see all the time. So the first couple come from people like Animanot and VideoFrat3115, which essentially comes down to, why don't you recommend Session more? It doesn't require a phone number. Why does Signal require a phone number? Now, I think it's really important to always remember threat modeling and what messengers are actually prioritizing. And I think then when we answer that question, you realize why I might recommend one messenger more than another to our audience. When we look at messengers and what most people are using, they're not getting either security or privacy. When you move to something like Signal, those problems are effectively solved. The privacy angle, there's very little metadata collection. We have really strong end-to-end encryption, and so that solves like 80% of the problem, if not more, for the majority of people and their particular threat models, and it's an extremely usable tool that has all the features they're already used to. Session doesn't have all the same features, arguably might have lower security than Signal, and it's just not as usable for most people. And so it's a much tougher thing to just broadly suggest to the millions of people who watch our content. With that said, I don't not recommend Session. We talk about Session. I've literally interviewed the Session team on our channel. In surveillance report, when Session has big updates, we make sure to feature them, and our entire resources and essentials page literally lists out Session. Signal has the phone number for discoverability. This is how most people share their contact information with other people. And Signal uses it to prevent spam. And also Signal now has usernames, which in my view, for most people's threat models, kind of solves the real problem that Session originally sought out to solve, because now I can just post my Signal username publicly online and it never exposes my phone number to anybody. So I hope that answers the question and my stances towards these different messengers. I think they all have a place. It's just, for most people, that place is probably Signal. And then the more advanced users understand when they're going to go beyond that. And I think we still do cover those messengers, hence why we have full interviews with both of those messengers like SimpleX and Session. This is a really good question, and it got me thinking. So Outsider U4T asked, Molvad or Obscura, which one to choose? Now, this was on the interview that I did with the team from Obscura. It's pretty much Apple's private relay where you have two parties and both of them have to be compromised for your data to be exposed, because this one doesn't know where the person came from and this party doesn't know where you're going to. So this is what Obscura does with Molvad VPN. You have Molvad and Obscura, and so Molvad doesn't know Obscura customers, and Obscura doesn't know where your traffic is going from there, and so you can't really correlate things very easily. I think Obscura is an incredible project. We did that interview, of course, and I asked a lot of the questions that I had about the project there. I will say for most people, that is a higher threat model concern, and you might still get a little bit of extra latency in a lot of situations. Based on my testing, it actually was still very fast. So that is a hypothetical thing to think about. I think realistically, the two main limitations with Obscura right now for most people is the devices that they're supported on, as well as the higher price tag. All right, we're gonna keep diving into browser wars, because you guys love browser wars. From Reheated Donut, would you recommend debloated Brave over Firefox? I'm never sure which browser to stick with. Currently using Zen, which is Firefox based. I love Zen as well. I love all these browsers. It's funny because I'll make videos that I think are very fair and balanced. Like, hey, I love this about Brave, but I don't love this about Brave. I love this about Helium, but I don't love this about Helium. I love this about Firefox, but I don't love this about Firefox. And it's funny because in the comments then I get like both sides. People are like, oh, you're a Brave shill or you're a Helium shill. Like, did Helium pay you for this review? And I'm like, how do both people watch this and get totally different perspectives on what I said? I'm not that opinionated about browsers. So I think the question to all of this is, what are you trying to get out of your browser? And which browser is going to deliver that experience to you as best as possible? And I can't give a blanket recommendation like that, hence why we cover all these different browsers, and I try my best to show you guys, hey, this is probably who this browser is going to overall lean towards. And then from there, you can try it out and see if it actually aligns with you. That's what I'm hoping our content does. If it doesn't, let me know how we can make that better. All right, Cider Eyes X asked, hey, great video. What browser do you use on your videos? Yeah, this is a very common question we get. It comes up all the time. What browser are you using in your videos? People like the design and how we do the screen recordings. It is almost entirely done in Brave with vertical tabs enabled, pretty much following my deep load tutorial step by step. So that is the browser that I use. I'm probably, frankly, going to replace that with Brave Origin. So now I can have a more reliable, easy to configure Brave just for screen recordings now. In fact, that was something I even teased in our blog article I did on the Brave Origin review, which is like, hey, wait, maybe I can actually just have a dedicated, clean, completely stripped browser just for screen recording our content. So that was a fun use case I thought of after the fact, I suppose. But Helium would probably work for this. Helium supports vertical tabs too. So there's a lot of browsers I could use for this very niche use case. But to answer your question, it's Brave in almost all of our content. More questions. What is the point of Android even existing if they fully lock down the ecosystem? At that point, you might as well buy an iPhone. I actually agree completely with this sentiment. Android always let you customize your device. It always let you tinker and go deeper than what an iPhone let you do. But I think that sentiment has kind of changed a little bit because in recent versions of iOS, Apple has delivered a lot of the more surface level versions of customization people want, like changing wallpapers, letting you place icons anywhere on your home screen, you know, things that people have been asking for. Meanwhile, while that's happening, we hear all these things that Google's trying to do to make Android a lot more locked down. This trend and this pattern of Google trying to lock that down is very dangerous. And I do agree though, if Google does make Android pretty much as locked down as an iPhone, there's not many reasons anymore that I can think of to still be on an Android device at that point, which is why it's so concerning. And I think this is what happens when we don't have that third operating system to kind of keep things in check. On the desktop, we have Linux. That's always kind of a safe place to go to. And I think that's why desktop operating systems are a little bit more open as an entire ecosystem. Agent Clark asked, how can you ban a VPN? That makes no sense. I can't tell you how to ban a VPN. I don't think it's quite reasonable. I think people get around VPN bans by then banning other tools. It's a very slippery slope. Countries are trying it. They've been trying it for a long time. It is questionable how successful they've been at that. Michaelo asked, what do you think about the storage providers like Internext, I think might be how you say it. I haven't really tested them myself yet, so this is a provider that's still very new to me. I know some people have asked us about it, so if you want to see a review of that in the future, just let us know. This comment from, I'm not going to try to say that, or I'm gonna sound embarrassing, suggests some AI. Yeah, this is quite new. We're actually in the middle of revamping our essentials, like our spa essentials and our resources and all this kind of stuff, and it's going to include a whole new AI section. I'm still kind of putting my thoughts together on what I feel comfortable recommending to our audience who is more willing to dip their toes with AI services. Because if we don't join that conversation, then there's no one really covering like what makes an AI provider more or less secure than another one. So I do want to make sure that we're still at the forefront of this and giving people resources who do want to use AI, but do so in a slightly safer way. So keep an eye out for that. I should have an announcement in the next week or two. Recommend us privacy tools for iPhone. Yeah, I already know some of you are in the comment section going, haha, privacy on an iPhone, LOL. But you know, we make privacy content for Windows users, for iOS users. There is, I think, something to gain from any platform, and I really strongly believe that there is so much you can do for your privacy and security that goes beyond just the operating system you're running. This is why we have device guides and also an iPhone-specific device guide. So yeah, check out that guide. I think it's the best starting point I can send you off to. All right, we have another question here from the Odyssey. To be honest, I don't care to see videos like this because I know there is nothing I can do about it either way anyway. I really like to push back on this sentiment. I'd say like 10% of our comments on any of these like hot style videos covering some big news thing are just doomer comments, and I really understand where that comes from. I understand how overwhelming all of this is, but the moment that you get overwhelmed by it is the moment that it's like a self-defeating, what is it? It's a self-destructive prophecy, self-defeating prophecy. What's the damn term? Anyway, Tori's gonna put it on screen. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, I think that's what it is, when you say there's nothing I can do, so then you don't do anything, and then, yeah, you're right, like nothing happened, so it's good I didn't do anything. So I really want us to break away from this, because what we've seen is that you all pushed back and more or less have temporarily won against chat control and what was going on in the EU. We've seen states in the US back off, like in Florida, and even in some of these other states that were talking about banning VPNs. If we didn't all get involved, and if we didn't make our voices heard, if we didn't contact politicians, would those things have still happened? Maybe. But there are real wins that are happening, and the worst thing that we can do is just ignore them and say there's nothing we can do anyway. And that kind of indifference is really dangerous. This is why at the end of our content, I always try to include actionable steps to actually give you guys some starting points on ways that you can take action. And so I'm hoping that the final bits of the video can lead you all towards more direct action, rather than just trying to scare you and create fear, which is what a lot of algorithms nowadays promote. So yeah, just make sure you're getting involved in whatever problems you're specifically passionate about, because it makes a difference. Okay, I'm not gonna read out this whole comment, but I did include it because this is for me, I wanna be on my own soapbox here. We get these comments and they go both directions. Like, the left-wing people, the right-wing people, the centrist people, they're coming after our privacy. Based on where I'm standing, I've been covering this for over 10 years. It goes both ways, guys. Like, there can be one political party from one country that is on the right. There can be one political party that's on the left. Digital rights as a concept is quite bipartisan, and I think should stretch across both aisles. This is why I try to make sure our content is approachable to people from both aisles, because I really want digital rights to be accessible to everybody. Now, that's not to say I don't have my own opinions. I have my very strong political opinions that are my own, but I just want to make sure that our content speaks to digital rights and gives people resources regardless of who's trying to take away their digital rights in whatever context that is. So I really want us to treat digital rights as its own political issue that both left and right-wing politicians need to take seriously, because both of them attack it in really critical ways depending on different contexts. All right, this next comment is from Chuck8541. If there's one channel that needs to use AI to break up their long-form content into short form, it's this one. Bro, I love your content, but I admit I probably have ADHD and can't sit through these 30, 40, 50 minute plus videos. Please have some automation, break up your content into shorts, LOL. Yeah, so we play around with automation tools. They don't work very well, and running clips is actually quite a time-consuming task, believe it or not. Like, each of those videos have to be uploaded, processed, published, and you can only automate so many of those things without degrading the quality. To be frank, our content, especially Techlore Talks, is meant to be thorough deep dives with experts in a space, and experts do not want to just be clipped for a 30-second short. So we do run Techlore clips, it does exist, we're trying to be a bit more active there, but I do ask you to understand also that it's a lot of work to do clips. We're a two-person team, and me telling Tori or me myself clipping content is taking away valuable time from us putting out new content. And so we just don't have that many resources. So if you want to support us to help us out, that support really does go a long way. And maybe someday we can get a dedicated person for that. On that note, actually, NF85 asked, so are you going to share your RSS sauce? And also MMF says, where is the Signal group chat link at? So my RSS link is something that I'm constantly maintaining. Pretty much I am keeping up with dozens, if not hundreds of sources around the internet for all the news, and that's what I use for surveillance support. And we have a private Signal group where you all can join a community. And this is all if you become a Techlorian. And so if you like this kind of content, you like what we're doing, you're passionate about this as well, and you want us to grow and reach more people, just join the Techlorians down in the description and you get access to some of those perks along the way. So that's how you get access to those things. That's all I have today. Maybe we can do this more frequently. Let me know if you like this kind of medium, and I'll see you guys next time on Techlore.